We are talking The Moors, also known as The MOOR. And this is a 2024 werewolf movie directed by Adam James Mawson, who also co-wrote the movie and has a small role in it. Now, this is actually a short film, but it does run around just over half an hour, including credits. And you can actually watch it on YouTube if you want to watch it for free. And you can actually buy a signed Blu Ray from his eBay shop. And I'll try and leave a link to those, both those links in the description below. Anyway, so this is obviously a very low budget affair. I'm presuming it was made for some type of calling card situation. But because it's a half an hour short, it does have a little bit of meat on the bone, so to speak. Now, the story initially focuses on two cops as they discover a mauled body in the moors, and this does take place in the Yorkshire moors where it was filmed, and obviously, famously, that is the opening segment of the American Werewolf in London, which I think obviously this is kind of paying homage to. And then we find there's a whole bunch of bodies that have been found all over this kind of area. And then it kind of has a flashback showing you effectively this werewolf attack on different persons. And it kind of goes from one to another. Now, the thing here is this werewolf seems to be some type of vigilante. And we learn that it seems to attack people who disrespect the area for some reason. For example, there's a couple of people that are fly tipping. There's a guy who is out walking his dog and doesn't pick the poop up with a doggy bag. Things like this. Okay, so let's talk about it, what works in this movie's favour. Now, we do have to bear in mind, this is obviously a movie that was probably made without any commercial aspirations. It is a short, so that's not, it can't be sold as a kind of like a feature to like a local distributor or anything like that. So we have to kind of bear that in mind. It's almost like a fan film to a degree. So expectations in place. So I do think there is some interesting ideas in regards to some of the kind of the technical elements here. We're mixing up the shots. There's a few drone shots. There's kind of a couple of nice kind of shots showing the kind of the full moon and things like that. So on a technical basis, I actually think it's filmed relatively well. There's a couple of interesting angles and things. So again, technical elements, sound design's all fine. All good. I mean, there's a couple of times where you'll see people glance at the camera. This is a kind of like somewhat amateur project, bear in mind, but technically I think it's shot relatively well. The VFX, now they do use a practical puppet. It looks to be some type of like rubber mask, which is being kind of used more like a puppet. I think it's okay for this type of thing. I've seen worse werewolf movies, but it's not brilliant, but I think it's okay for something along the lines of this. It looks bestial. We see no hat. We don't ever see it in a full, full suited situation, but we see claws, feet, that sort of thing, and obviously the kind of the face. But I didn't mind the design. The eyes look a little beady, I have to say, but yeah. And then there's a couple of kind of like decent like props where they've used like prosthetic limbs and stuff like that. There's a character called Bill, who is like this local man who kind of warns the police that there is this potential of history that has gone back where all these attacks have been taking place, and he's the one that volunteers this. These killings always seem to be about people who somehow disrespect the area, and I actually kind of quite liked his character, and for the most part I thought his acting was probably the best. There's a couple of scenes where he's kind of laughing manically, and that's a little bit over the top, but for the most part I kind of quite enjoyed his character, and he actually seems quite kind of naturalistic, I have to say. And obviously it's quite a punchy movie because it is only a short, and it doesn't skimp on like the body count here. There's quite a lot of people get mauled by this thing. There's plenty of kind of the red stuff getting splashed around. This creature seems to be very, very violent and just kind of goes on a berserk kind of killing spree. We even get a little bit of kind of like humour injected into it, just a tad. So yeah, you know, it more or less kind of cuts straight to the chase. If you just want to see like a werewolf mauling people in a low budget fashion, but nonetheless, then maybe you can want to check it out. Okay, so let's talk about what doesn't work. I mean, the decision here to really follow the attacks of the werewolf rather than having a character that you kind of follow or root for, I think may have been to its detriment, because we never really connect to any of these characters, because it kind of goes from one character, they get dispatched, then we meet someone else, they get dispatched, you know, and so on. So it's really almost from the werewolf's perspective. So you're just watching scenes of unknown kind of faces in a crowd getting mauled, and therefore you never have that sort of connection with any type of character. Now, it's always tricky when you're doing a short, because obviously you have limited time, but I think it would have been better had this tried to have a little bit of a more of a narrative where you're following someone, and it will also, I think, helps with, you know, you empathise and build a relationship with a character that you can kind of root for to a degree. Maybe so, you know, this thing's following this, you know, this person, and they're kind of running around and killing other people, but, you know, it is what it is. So that I think there's a little bit of disconnect in regards to the characters and stuff. I have to say, I think the acting overall is a little mixed. As I say, I've liked the character of Bill, but there are kind of characters here, and especially that I've got to say, the two police at the beginning, it's horrible dialogue, horrible exposition-filled dialogue. Some of the kind of the other characters that we kind of see briefly here and there, I think a little better, but yeah, the acting is mixed. But the police characters at the beginning, these are the first people you meet. This is your first impression. I have to say, their dialogue wasn't particularly good, and I didn't think the performances were strong. And it's one of those instances where actors don't know what they're doing with their arms. They're kind of standing kind of like this, and, you know, there's no direction about how to kind of like, you know, I like this, that, you know, things like that. They're just kind of standing stiff. And it's the thing I've noticed in a few films where the direction hasn't been given to the actors about how to physically act, and rather than just kind of say stuff. As I say, the werewolf effects are on the lower budget side. I'm forgiving of that, but, you know, it's. I've seen some critiques that, because, oh, it's, you know, cheapy werewolf effects. Well, yeah, you know, we are talking about a low budget short here, so I don't think you can expect too much. I actually didn't mind the effects, if I'm honest. I actually think they probably worked quite well with the small budget that they had, but, you know, don't be expecting full-on sort of, you know, full shots of werewolves and things like that, because, you know, you're not going to get it in this film. So, you know, overall, I think it's a fair sort of short film. It's kind of entertaining. I don't think it's particularly sort of memorable, if I'm honest. It's okay, though. If you just sort of watch, you know, 25 minutes so of just werewolf mauling people, then there you go. I think I did find the kind of the fact that it was like a vigilante werewolf a little bit weird. I mean, like, it attacks a guy, apparently, because he didn't pick up his dog poop and put it in a bag. I'm like, well, how would a werewolf know that was like a bad thing to do? And surely this werewolf is shitting in the woods anyway, or on the moors, more specifically. Yeah, I don't know if that was a particularly kind of like sensible kind of like narrative thread to pin your movie on, really, but there you go. So, you know, overall, we have to bear the budget in mind. I didn't think it was a bad film necessarily. Some room for improvement. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Have you seen it? And if you haven't, you can go and check it out. If I remember to put the link in the description. Let me know what you think, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.